Dwight D. Eisenhower, the general who saved the woe. In 1890, in Denison, Texas, a boy named Dwight David Eisenhower was born into a modest but hard-working family. The family soon relocated to Abilene, Kansas, where Dwight grew up, surrounded by hard work and discipline. His mother, Ida, instilled a strong sense of service and a deep commitment to education in her sons. Though their resources were limited, the spirit of striving defined the Eisenhower household. Young Dwight often worked odd jobs, fueling his ambition for a life beyond the Kansas plains. He excelled in his studies, particularly balancing academics with athletics. A chance encounter led him to apply for West Point, realizing a dream of military service. After his initial rejection, he worked tirelessly to improve his standing and reapplied. He eventually earned an appointment, marking his transition to a structured military life. West Point was challenging, demanding physical and intellectual excellence from every cadet. Upon graduation in 1915, Lieutenant Eisenhower began his long journey through the ranks of the U.S. Army. He served stateside during WWI, driving tanks, though he longed for overseas action. In 1916, he met Mamie Dowd in San Antonio, a meeting that would shape his entire personal life. Their marriage began, bringing stability to Dwight's often nomadic military existence. Tragically, the couple experienced early heartbreak with the loss of their first son, Dowd. Eisenhower sought opportunities to learn under brilliant strategists, honing his leadership skills. His service in the Philippines exposed him to high-level strategic planning alongside General MacArthur. He and Mamie welcomed their second son, John, who would later follow his father into military service. When war erupted in Europe, Eisenhower was strategically positioned in Washington, D.C. His balanced temperament and organizational skills made him the Allies' top choice to lead. He was promoted rapidly, preparing for the monumental task of invading Europe. Appointed Supreme Commander of the Allied Expeditionary Force. The weight of the world rested on his shoulders. Planning Operation Torch in North Africa was his first major test, requiring delicate political maneuvering. The early Sicilian campaign showed both tactical success and the frustration of inter-service rivalries. The most critical moment, the eve of Operation Overlord, facing relentless storms. Standing with the paratroopers moments before they board their aircraft, he offered words of reassurance. D-Day achieved breakthrough, but the ensuing Battle of the Bulge tested his endurance once more. The war concluded, and Eisenhower returned home, celebrated as the architect of victory. After the war, he served as Army Chief of Staff, overseeing demobilization and military reorganization. He briefly left public service to become the respected president of Columbia University. Pressures mounted for the popular general to enter the political fray, culminating in his retirement from the Army. He finally succumbed to the call, accepting the Republican nomination in 1952. His campaign slogan, "I like Ike," resonated deeply with a nation weary of conflict. He won in a landslide victory, becoming the 34th President of the United States. He won Inauguration Day 1953. A decorated general now took the oath of office on Pennsylvania Avenue. His first major accomplishment was bringing the Korean War to an end, with an armistice in 1953. Domestically, he favored dynamic conservatism, ensuring stability and growth. His greatest domestic legacy began with the Federal Aid Highway Act of 1956. This massive infrastructure project revolutionized American commerce and travel. On the Cold War front, Eisenhower relied on the doctrine of New Look policy and nuclear deterrence. A domestic failure point, the struggle over school integration following the Brown versus Board decision. Despite internal friction, his leadership secured re-election in 1956 with another sweeping victory. The Suez Crisis in 1956 tested his commitment to keeping the Cold War from escalating into wider conflict. The Soviet launch of Sputnik in 1957 shocked the nation, forcing a massive pivot towards science and education. In response, Eisenhower championed the creation of NASA and significantly boosted science funding. He used his military experience to establish the Eisenhower Doctrine, pledging aid to Middle Eastern nations against communism. The U-2 spy plane incident in 1960 complicated relations with the Soviet Union just before the end of his term. His greatest failure in foreign policy was often seen as underestimating the rise of Fidel Castro in Cuba. In his farewell address, Eisenhower warned the nation about a powerful new force, the military-industrial complex. Upon leaving office, he returned to his beloved farm and ranch in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. He spent his final years enjoying family life and reflecting on his decades of public service. Even in retirement, he remained a respected elder statesman, advising subsequent leaders. He oversaw the design and placement of his presidential library and museum, ensuring his history was preserved. The man who commanded D-Day passed away in 1969, leaving behind an unmatched record of service. From a humble Kansas boy to supreme commander and president, Eisenhower remains a symbol of steady, principled leadership. The Eisenhower household operated under strict rules of thrift and industry taught by his parents. David Eisenhower Sr. worked long hours to support his large family. David Eisenhower Sr., Dwight and his brothers often played complex, self-invented games, fostering tactical thinking. The influence of his older brother, Arthur, was strong before Arthur's early death from influenza. He found early fascination with history, particularly military biographies. He found the aptitude for engineering emerged as he helped repair farm machinery. The strict religious background shaped his moral compass and dedication to duty. He worked hard to gain entry to the Naval Academy first, before settling on West Point. His football career at West Point was cut short by a severe knee injury. The injury necessitated major surgery, causing him to miss crucial training time. Despite academic aptitude, he was sometimes criticized for being too social, lacking the rigid formality of others. He graduated in the middle of his class in 1915, overshadowed by future generals like Omar Bradley. His early posting assignments were often mundane, demanding patience from the ambitious young officer. He and Mamie established their first home together, adapting to Army life. The unexpected passing of Dowd deeply affected the couple's early years of marriage. His assignments were often behind the scenes, where his talent for staff management shone brightest. Working closely with General Douglas MacArthur, he learned command structure, though eventually clashing over philosophy. The birth of John provided joy, but Eisenhower was constantly deployed, missing much of his son's early life. The growing threat of Nazi Germany brought him back to Washington, D.C. for crucial planning roles. He was instrumental in planning the details of the first major Allied operation, Operation Torch in North Africa. His calm demeanor under pressure during the planning phase earned him the trust of Roosevelt. The promotion to Supreme Commander was officially announced in late 1943. Moving to London, Eisenhower established SAFE headquarters under intense secrecy protocols. He spent endless hours coordinating the complex requirements of naval, air, and ground forces. Mamie wrote to him constantly, providing a crucial emotional anchor during this stressful period. The strategic deception plan, Operation Fortitude, was critical to keeping the Germans guessing. He famously prepared a note taking personal responsibility for any potential failure on D-Day. The weather forecasts were grim, leading to agonizing delays just days before the planned launch. His decision to proceed on June 6th, overriding cautious advice, proved to be the decisive moment. The first waves of troops embarked under the cover of darkness, heading for the Normandy beaches. News of the successful landings begins to filter back to London, bringing cautious optimism. Eisenhower visited the troops on the beachhead, shortly after securing the initial foothold. His relationship with Patton, though volatile, proved crucial for the swift breakout from Normandy. The liberation of Paris brought massive celebrations and a moment of respite for the Allies. The subsequent battle for Germany involved brutal urban fighting and high attrition rates. Meeting the Soviet forces at the Elbe River symbolized the physical division of the defeated enemy. The discovery of Nazi concentration camps forced Eisenhower to confront the depths of human evil. As Chief of Staff, Eisenhower managed the vast, demobilizing force of millions of servicemen. He oversaw the development of the United States Air Force as an independent branch. His tenure at Columbia allowed him to address large intellectual crowds and transition his focus. Mamie often found life away from the direct military structure challenging, preferring the stability of post-war family life. The ongoing conflict between MacArthur's aggressive style and Eisenhower's balanced approach became clear. Ultimately, the Republican Party courted him heavily, appealing to his status as a nonpartisan war hero. The 1,950 experienced unprecedented post-war economic prosperity under Eisenhower's watch. He famously referred to his political philosophy as modern republicanism, embracing key New Deal programs. The creation of the Department of Health, Education, and Welfare centralized federal social services. His administration navigated the challenges of McCarthyism by remaining largely silent until Senator McCarthy's downfall. Mamie Eisenhower became known for her warmth and dedication to promoting mental health awareness. The tension surrounding the Little Rock Nine forced the president to use federal troops to enforce the Supreme Court ruling. The massive Civil Rights Act of 1957, though watered down, represented a significant step forward. His personal popularity remained incredibly high throughout his first term, reflecting public trust in his steady hand. Eisenhower believed in using covert CIA operations, such as the coup in Iran, to counter Soviet influence. The Suez Crisis of 1967 956, saw Eisenhower leverage American financial power against allies like Britain and France. The crisis highlighted the growing strategic importance of the Middle East in the Cold War context. Eisenhower dispatched Marines to Lebanon in 1958 to stabilize the government against internal communist threats. He consistently resisted calls for direct military intervention in Southeast Asia, fearing another massive land war. The Taiwan Strait crises showed the fine line between deterrence and all-out war with communist China. His cautious, containment-focused approach defined the middle ground of the turbulent 1,950 seconds. The establishment of NASA in 1958 redirected the American space effort with clear civilian goals. His administration invested heavily in mathematics and science education through the National Defense Education Act. The tension over Cuba escalated as Castro consolidated power and leaned toward the Soviet Union. The U-2 incident, the shooting down of Gary Power's spy plane, severely damaged summit diplomacy. Eisenhower was forced to cancel his planned goodwill trip to the Soviet Union due to the fallout. He was constantly fighting against the political pressure to become more interventionist, especially regarding Berlin. As he prepared to leave office, his own party saw him as too cautious and detached from modern concerns. He left office proud of maintaining peace while ushering in an era of technological advancement. Retirement allowed him to finally focus on his lifelong passion, painting and farming. He often toured the historic Civil War battlefields on his property, reflecting on leadership. Mamie remained his steadfast companion, finding solace in their shared life away from Washington's glare. He remained politically relevant, frequently offering counsel on the ongoing Vietnam conflict. His final years were marked by a quiet dignity matching the leadership he displayed throughout his life. He excelled in practical exercises, often demonstrating a strong ability to manage resources under pressure. His time at the Command and General Staff School in Fort Leavenworth was critical for strategic growth. He was recognized as a promising officer due to his dedication to logistics and administrative organization. His early promotion to colonel came only after demonstrating mastery of staff functions under General Fox Connor. The military training instilled a deep, lifelong appreciation for inter-service cooperation. He always prioritized troop morale, understanding that morale was as vital as materiality. This logistical foundation later proved essential when commanding the vast Allied machine in Europe. Critics often cited Eisenhower's perceived passivity, nicknaming his style do-nothingism. His administration faced scrutiny over the financial handling of certain defense contracts. The disastrous Bay of Pigs invasion in 1961, planned under his watch, embarrassed the incoming Kennedy administration. Eisenhower never fully embraced the civil rights movement initially, often prioritizing national unity over immediate change. His administration also faced criticism for supporting the overthrow of democratically elected governments overseas. His health scares, including a severe heart attack, raised public concerns about his ability to lead. The massive cost of maintaining the nuclear arms race under the New Look policy strained the budget. Despite critiques, Eisenhower left office with very high personal approval ratings among the general public. His 1,928 attendance at the Army War College honed his analytical skills and grand strategy. The Great Depression saw him temporarily leave active duty for government service roles. His appointment as Chief of Staff of the Third Army in 1941 confirmed his value to the War Department. The early transatlantic planning sessions often involved tense negotiations over resource allocation. His ability to manage egos, from Montgomery to Patton, was his unique military asset. The Battle of Kasserine Pass in North Africa represented an early, significant military failure under his command. In response to failures, he restructured leadership, promoting commanders known for their aggressive execution. By 1944, he was promoted to the highest military rank achievable, 5-star General of the Army. The Interstate Highway System was not just transportation, but a Cold War defense measure. His use of brinkmanship in foreign policy often involved threatening massive retaliation to avoid smaller wars. Eisenhower strongly advocated for international cooperation, particularly in peaceful atomic energy sharing. His balanced budget approach provided economic stability, contrasting sharply with later deficit spending. The expansion of American infrastructure included significant investment in water projects like the St. Lawrence Seaway. He established the concept of the military-industrial complex warning, foreshadowing future concerns. His calm leadership during moments of global crisis instilled confidence in the American public. Mamie's influence extended to the White House, where she carefully cultivated a welcoming atmosphere. She was renowned for her love of gardening and her dedication to decorating various military posts. John Eisenhower followed in his father's footsteps, graduating from West Point in 1944. Dwight's relationship with his son John involved balancing fatherly love with military expectations. Despite the public role, Mamie valued their private time immensely, particularly golfing trips with Dwight. The family remained tightly knit, often gathering for holidays despite Dwight's demanding career. Eisenhower's command style was often described as consensus building, avoiding rigid adherence to singular plans. During the Battle of the Bulge, he maintained composure while coordinating the complex counteroffensive. He was instrumental in managing the sensitive logistics of supplying the rapid advance through France. His ability to delegate authority without micromanaging was crucial for managing diverse field commanders. The crossing of the Rhine River required exceptional coordination between American and British forces. He insisted that Allied troops, upon liberating towns, treat civilians with respect. VE Day saw him receive both immense accolades and the immediate shift to peacetime governance preparation. His early international trips aimed to project an image of a stable, powerful America post-war. The president was determined to avoid deep entanglement in the French conflict in Indochina, Vietnam. He carefully managed the transition of power from Truman, demonstrating respect for the office. The death of Stalin in 1953 created a complex opportunity for potential de-escalation talks. The Geneva Summit of 1955 was a key moment to establish dialogue with the new Soviet leadership. Despite the summit, Eisenhower immediately initiated the U-2 spy plane program for necessary reconnaissance. Many Democrats also desperately wanted Eisenhower, viewing him as the only one capable of winning the presidency. He was reluctant initially, fearing the political divisiveness and the toll on his marriage. His Crusade in Europe book helped solidify his public image as a unifying national figure. The Republican convention in Chicago in 1952 was electric with anticipation for his arrival. His choice of Richard Nixon as his running mate was a strategic move to unify the conservative wing of the party. The famous Checkers speech secured Nixon's place on the ticket despite earlier financial controversies. His personal appeal transcended party lines, making the I Like Ike movement virtually unstoppable. The escalating conflict in the Congo worried the administration about communist influence in newly independent Africa. The departure of John Foster Dulles due to illness in 1959 marked the end of an era for the administration. Eisenhower used his final year to lobby against the massive defense buildup that would later characterize the early 60 seconds. He maintained a high personal ethical standard, often contrasting with the excesses of his political opponents. The rise of the younger generation, symbolized by John F. Kennedy, signaled a generational shift in American politics. His final major act was ensuring a smooth, nonpartisan transition to the new administration. His initial instruction roles sometimes bored him, but he used the time for self-improvement. The Army assigned him to accompany a cross-country truck convoy in 1919, which was an arduous logistical exercise. This convoy experience deeply influenced his later support for the modern highway system. His service under MacArthur in the Philippines often meant long periods away from Mamie and the young family. MacArthur valued him, but Eisenhower recognized the limitations of a single-minded command structure. Despite the challenges, his staff work earned him consistent positive evaluations from superiors. Eisenhower's final years were marked by a renewed focus on his family and personal pursuits. He watched with pride as his grandson, David, pursued his own paths. He maintained sharp political instincts until the end, particularly concerning the escalating situation in Vietnam. Mamie was at his side when he passed away from heart failure on the 28th of March 1969. His burial site at the Presidential Library serves as a testament to a life fully dedicated to the service of his nation. From the Kansas Plains to the command of Allied forces, and finally the highest office, his journey was historic. Dwight D. Eisenhower, a leader defined by quiet competence, integrity, and unwavering duty.